County. Our show today is Friday, June 3rd, and I'm coming to you live from the Rising Eagles Studios. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Rising Eagle Studios. I know I say it all the time, but I just love that name. Rising, so that's why I got to say it. Rising Eagle Studios here at the Warrior Healing Center in Sierra Vista, Arizona. Today's guest was not able to come in today, so Tim Kirk, who is the founder
The
of
junior
the Warrior
varsity.
Healing Center. Yes. No, you're the varsity, man. What are you talking about? Get out of here.
Second string.
Nah. So, anyways, thanks for filling in for us this morning.
bet,
Really
brother.
appreciate it. So,
Glad to be here.
So you and I were talking off camera. So today, since we're not going to have an interview with a veteran, we're just going to kind of shoot the crap for a little bit. Fill us in a little bit on this this new entitlement that you were telling me about.
Yeah, so we got good news this past week. The Warrior Healing Center got qualified with the state of Arizona as a qualified charitable organization. And you'll see scrolling at the bottom of the screen here the QCO number. And what that is a tax credit opportunity with the state right here. See that number 22467?
Uh-huh.
And so what this does is it allows people who make contributions to charitable organizations to get tax credits on their state taxes. And
wow.
the maximum credit allowed is $800 for married filing joint and $400 for single heads of household and married filing separate filers.
Okay.
So it's we made the list. We're coming out today on today's list for 2022.
Okay.
And we just want to let everybody know that that is happening. So you can use that code that's on your screen right there in order to designate your charitable contributions with your state taxes for the Warrior Healing Center. And 100% of those charitable contributions will stay here
in Cochise County.
County and go to support our veterans and their families in need here in Cochise County.
Great news. Great news.
So if you are like me, and I know I am, you want to help veterans and their families.
That's why you're doing this.
That's right. So that is a really nifty, easy way to work together with the great state of Arizona to help our veterans right here in Cochise County. So
if I were to contribute, let's say, $50 a month, and then you reach that cap, when you do your donation, do you put that code on it each time, like on a check, or is it only on your tax form, or how exactly does that work?
Well, this is a code that you do with the state, and I'm not sure exactly how it works with the actual documentation. I'm going to have to find out in order to answer your question. If it's necessary to put it on a check or something like that, I don't think so.
I don't think it is either. I think it's on the tax form, but I just wanted to ask in case anybody out there might have had that question.
Yeah, I'm looking on the website here.
Now, is this for federal taxes too, or just strictly for state?
No, just for state.
Okay.
Yep. And
well, the state of Arizona has been really generous because they just passed a law here recently that retirement is tax-free, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah, so.
That's right. And they are really working hard to make Arizona, a very veteran-friendly state. So they're doing a great job with that. But I don't see like an FAQ section or something like that on the website that would give us maybe some insight into that.
I bet you it's on the state tax form when you're filing it.
Yeah, it says individuals making cash donations made to these charities may claim these tax credits on their Arizona personal income tax returns.
Uh-huh.
So if you can do it with cash donations, it doesn't seem like you would have to mark anything on your check.
That's what I was thinking. Because I just wanted to ask because you never know. I mean, sometimes somebody might want to think of something. I'm trying to think of their questions in advance. We can't see the comment section. So if you are asking any questions right now, just hold off. We'll get to them as soon as we can, if you would, please.
Yeah.
So a little bit more also on cash deductions. How also does it work? Oh, good morning, Keith. How also does it work for, what am I trying to ask? Not just cash stuff, but like when you give something that has value, can you claim that too? For example, if I were to come in and give you, I don't know, let's say a car, donated a car, and you can cash that up to that $400 limit, right? So it doesn't have to always be a cash donation, or is it strictly? What am I trying to ask? Is it strictly money that you get that $400 deductible on?
Right. I knew you were going to ask me questions that I don't know the answer to.
That's okay.
Ask your tax preparer professional.
Okay. They would know
what specific things, because I don't want to give tax advice. I know on the federal side there are ways that you can get charitable deductions for donations of cars, for example.
Right.
And there are ways to get it for values of other donations like clothes and stuff like that. But for the state, I don't know, and I don't want to tell you wrong, so I'll just say...
But we know who to ask, right? Ted Manolis.
That's right. You can
Ted
ask
with the AARP.
your VITA tax preparation professionals.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they will be able to elucidate on this matter. But the bottom line is that this is a new opportunity for folks to make their charitable contributions to the Warrior Healing Center and use the tax credit system in order to make that. So
I think that's outstanding news.
Yeah. And it took a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
To make this
I
happen.
wonder who did all that paperwork.
Was
it you?
Kathy.
Kathy.
Yeah.
That's why she's been buried away in her office.
That's
back
right.
There.
She's in there with the steam presses and the what's that calligraphy pen thing, and the parchment. She has to. Yeah, it takes a lot of ink. Big feather pen.
Well, I have to say, you guys bust your butt down here. You're always busy. It seems like every time I come in, you guys are doing something. So
I just work here.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Right.
I stack boxes.
So do you have anything else that you want to share with us about the tax donation, or?
No, that's about it. You can find out more
Is there a website? Oh, okay, yeah.
AZDOR, that's Alpha Zulu Delta Oscar Romeo.gov. And that has all the information on it there. And once again, your professional tax preparer should know all the answers. And we just invite everyone to take a look at it, because this is something that everyone who does taxes for the state of Arizona has the opportunity to do.
When I was younger and my kids were younger, I would get the tax credit for federal. I'm talking federal right now. And we'd always get money back every year. But as I got older and my kids were gone, then we had to start paying because we had no other tax deductions. And so we're in a situation right now where we're having to pay federal, but we're getting back the state, and the state being so generous with these tax credits and stuff like that, it's really helped us to try and recover what we have to pay to federal, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much the tax is going up on federal right now. It's just...
Yeah, someone's got to pay for all that free money that they were handing out last year.
How much did they hand out? Over almost it wasn't $1 trillion, was it? Was it close to $1 trillion? Wow. How much of that money did we see?
I don't know. But I
don't think
we want to know.
We got one tax credit, and we didn't really ask for it. Or one, not tax credit, what is it called? Stimulus check, yeah.
Get your stimmy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
where all this inflation came from.
Yep. Well, I think that's exactly what happened, is by giving out, like what you're saying, giving out all that free money, then not only does the government have to recoup it, but then also, did you notice about that same time prices started going up? Gas prices started going up. Food prices started going up everywhere. And it
didn't even see it coming.
Oh, yeah, right. Right.
Yeah, it's almost as if people having more money pursuing the same amount of products makes the price of those products go higher,
Right.
and the spending power of that money reduce. If only there was some sort of science that could predict this and help us understand it. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't want to get too political or anything, but it seems like in the world that we live in today, you can't have a common sense discussion with anybody about things without it becoming political.
I
Like you
know.
can't say, for example, oh, well, I can't find food because it's scarce, or there's a run on toilet paper, and all of a sudden you're accused of being this, that, or the other thing, and it's crazy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because we do the Veteran Musings podcast
Yes, I love
here.
listening to that.
Yeah, if you're interested, you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all that. It's called Veteran Musings.
And don't forget your Facebook page too.
That's right. Uh, but what we try to demonstrate there is because we have veterans with a lot of different opinions on a lot of different subjects. And this week, it got a little heated because we were talking about gun control.
Uh-oh.
And we had two veterans that were very, very passionate about the need for gun control.
Okay.
And then two veterans that were like, no.
Pro Second Amendment.
Yeah, pro Second Amendment. I won't mention which side I was on, but
Okay.
yeah, I was advocating strongly one way or the other. But the entire conversation, as passionate as it was, by the end of it, we were
Shaking hands and laughing going out the door.
As veterans, we're able to have a disagreement. It's kind of like in the barracks.
Yep.
You have these impassioned debates and conversations, but at the end of it, you go right back to being teammates. You go right back to doing the job, and
you have each other's back.
Yeah, you don't care that your compatriot is a pinko commie, yellow-livered, punk. You just don't care. Even though you're a flag-waving, Second Amendment-believing, card-carrying NRA member.
Right.
I'm just teasing. But, seriously, you can have differences of opinion, and you're still Americans at the end of the day. And you can still respect each other. And when the shooting starts, there's no doubt whose side you're on.
Yep.
And that's what being an American used to mean. And we still believe in that. It's like being an American means you can believe whatever you want as long as you don't hurt people or take their stuff. And the minute you start hurting people or taking their stuff, that's when you fight with all of us. And that's what we'd like to see, restored again, is we can have all the debates in the world. We can make fun of each other. We can call each other names. You can call me whatever. But at the end of the day, we're still brothers and sisters, as long as you're not hurting people or taking their stuff.
Or going on Facebook and trashing a business like the Warrior Healing Center when they were doing that one time. I think it was like on Chit Chat. Instead of getting all the facts and finding out, oh no, instead they just go up on Facebook and, oh, let's just blast this person out, or let's put this business on blast or whatever. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it's people are free to do that. They're free to do that. It's pretty classless in
freedom of speech, actually.
Yeah, right. They're free to do that, but it never works out. It never works out for the person doing it.
Nope.
It brings down the whole community. Over time, the truth always comes out, and over time, people always figure it out. But we've learned as a society, as a culture, that it's better to take the high road. It's better to
Yep.
treat other people the way that you want to be treated.
Yep.
It's better to observe that golden rule. It's better if we respect each other. And that means in our dialogue, that means in our day to day interaction. And America is different in the world. And, I think people have kind of looked down on that attitude of American exceptionalism,
Right.
that America is different. And I'm sorry. America's just different. We're the only ones that are founded on this particular set of ideals. And that includes what I just said, that we don't silence opposition. People who disagree with us, we don't cancel them.
No, they have a right to protest, like they do.
Yeah.
Except when it turns violent, then that's when I disagree. When they start burning businesses or looting or stuff like that, that's when
Right.
you cross the line.
Yeah. When they hurt people or take their stuff, and by taking their stuff, meaning destroy it,
Right.
that's when we get off the bus. But just because someone says something that I don't agree with, that's when I most disagree with what they're saying. That's when we need to hear them most. That's just the way it is. That's how our society is best served. Because the minute we start shutting people down for what they think or say, that's the Hitler world. That's the Nazi world. That's the dark world of fascism. That's not America. So all this stuff we're seeing of cancel culture and all that, that's not us.
Nope. I was going to ask you on the Veteran Musing podcast, if we've got a veteran watching this and they would really like to come in and maybe share or be on one of those, is that something that you encourage?
Absolutely. We've got a podcast studio here that is set up and ready to go and open to anyone who's interested in either doing their own podcast or joining with other veterans to do a podcast. It is wide open. So if you're interested in doing that, what we are here for is to help give veterans a voice.
Okay.
So if you're interested in doing that, if you're interested in doing a live stream program like this one, come on in and see us, because that's what we're all about.
Yeah, I've been encouraging that on the shows, that because like we have the Cowboy Church that comes in and
Yep.
gives their uh, inspirational,
Yeah.
and I love
Homilies.
watching them because I think that they're so
Mhm.
well, they're inspirational. I
Yeah.
mean, they're very good. Steve and Brad are very good at what they do, and then we have Eric and we have Izzy that comes in
Yeah.
and uses a live stream, and then myself, and that's it. And this studio, I mean, it could be used for so much more. So yeah, we definitely could use people to come in and do their own, kind of show. I know they have to run it through, right, as far as what kind of idea they're thinking, or no, can they just go on? How does that work?
Yeah, we're interested in organizing it so it's not just come on here and rant, about
Okay.
what happened to you at Culver's yesterday. We don't want it to be, without format. So
Okay.
we want to organize around a principle, organize around a set of thoughts,
Okay.
and be able to advertise that, promote that a little bit. But it doesn't have to be scripted.
Correct.
It's not like we're going for control. It's just we want to organize thoughts and make sure it's put together in a way that people can digest it.
Well, I was getting a little political back in, I don't know, 2016. No, it couldn't have been that. It had to be later. It had to be 2020, right before the election. So I'm going to say about 2019 or so. And I think I had just become Facebook friends with you and Kathy, and I just started coming into the center, and Kathy said to me, "Do you want to do a show?" And I didn't know what she kind of had in mind, and I thought you guys were kind of thinking that I would want to come on here and talk about my political beliefs, and that's just, I mean, I don't mind sharing a comment here and there, but to do a show. And so I talked about it for a while, and I thought about it, and I said, I want to interview veterans. I want to hear their story because I love when you have the bagels and brew
Yeah.
and we get the veterans come in and then
Mhm.
you just sit around and you talk with them and you get to know them. And I bet you I have interviewed more than 50 veterans in Cochise County since I've done this show, thanks to you and Kathy and the Warrior Healing Center, that I've made 50 new friends, whether it's through Facebook or texting or what. And like at the Vet Fest,
Yeah.
I mean, there were so many people that if I hadn't gotten involved with the Warrior Healing Center, I would never have known those people,
Right.
you know?
Right. And we as a community would not have known them as well
Right.
because of the content distribution on our social media channels. So it's a win-win for everybody. The veteran gets to share their voice, their experience, who they are,
Right.
and you get to make friends and they get to meet you. And I don't know, it's a good thing. And even if someone wants to come on here and talk about their political views, that's okay. Extreme right, extreme left, extreme center, extreme up, extreme down.
Yeah.
I don't care. We want to elevate veteran voices, whatever position they take, as long as it doesn't violate laws
Right.
and it doesn't violate things that will get the channel shut down,
Like using
obviously.
profanity or.
Yeah, I mean, even I'm okay with profanity
Well, I mean,
because it's a
excessive.
veteran
Yeah.
channel, right? But the things that will get us kicked off of YouTube and even kicked off YouTube, yeah, I'm okay with that too because there are some political things that'll get you kicked off YouTube. Even saying the word VACCINE will get
Oh,
you
yeah.
kicked off YouTube sometimes. But the point is, we're not trying to dictate what views can be shared here. We just want to encourage veterans to share their views, give them a voice, give them a platform that they can use in order to express those views. Because veteran voices, veteran experiences, veteran perspectives are important.
And Tim, every single veteran that you interview is going to have a different story, a different experience.
That's right.
That's what makes it so fun and so amazing. And that's why I love doing it, because everybody that knows me knows I love to talk. So this was like a perfect fit for me.
It is perfect. And it's great to watch, compared to like Keeping Up with the Kardashians or, the athletes that we're constantly exposed to on ESPN and so forth. We have much more interesting stories and characters in the veteran community
Yep.
than anything the Kardashians can put
Better
forward.
role models.
Yeah. Those people are so shallow. I mean, Teen Mom, give me a break. They did how many seasons of Teen Mom with just these really shallow people who make these horrible life decisions. And I'm not judging them because I'm kind of partial to Teen Mom. Don't get me wrong. I've watched all the seasons. I mean,
Tim, you outed yourself.
Yeah. I'm not ashamed of Teen Mom. But the point is, so many veterans are way more interesting than anything you'll find on these other shows. But there's no programming, there's no appetite for those stories. So we want to get that stuff out because, like you said, better role models, better stories, better characters are right here in our community. And why not?
Well, speaking of our community, I'm sure that everybody knows this, but in case you don't, Cochise County is the biggest veteran population in the state, right?
It's the biggest per capita
Per
population.
capita?
Yes. So that means we have the highest percentage of our population is veterans.
Okay.
Other counties have higher raw numbers just because their population is bigger, but nobody has a higher percentage of their population that is veteran.
And of that percentage that I've interviewed, almost every single veteran has had a mother or father that has served.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go again with role models. Oh, my mom served, my dad served. Some of the veterans that I've interviewed even have had stories that they could trace their lineages of service to our country way back to the Civil War. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah.
to me, those are our real role models right there.
Yeah. There is no doubt that America needs now more than ever the positive character role models of service, of self-sacrifice, of integrity, of
Mm-hmm.
excellence that really have gone by the wayside. And there are so many examples of that, like you're talking about, right here in our community. So while the rest of the world is focused on, these ridiculous TV stories that are just, a waste of time,
Right.
or, the insipid events in the world, or, the ridiculous market conditions, or whatever else that's a waste of time that you see in the modern media, we choose to focus on those things among us that have valor, that have character, that
Right.
have something worth focusing on and elevating that, because that's what is permanent. The permanent things are those things that our veterans represent. When all the rest of this noise is gone, when the last Kardashian has passed away,
Yep.
when the last stock market bell has rung, what will still be here is integrity, excellence, honor, self-sacrifice. And those people in our community who have demonstrated that throughout their lives, they will be the ones to look to, and their example will be the ones to look to. And those are the permanent things. So we're not distracted by the rest of this noise.
Right. Um, just to kind of switch gears here a little bit, if you don't mind, and hopefully forgive me for throwing you a curveball.
Yeah,
If you don't like this question, you can always just say, I'm not going to answer that, or just slug me or something. But
I'm ready.
since June is PTSD month,
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if we could talk a little bit about that, about maybe some of the, not benefits, I'm sorry, some of the services that we might be able to help get veterans who might be suffering for PTSD. Because again, actions speak louder than words. PTS or veteran suicide is a big thing that I want to try and help curb. And if there's anything that I can do to help commit to stop a veteran from committing suicide, I'm on board. That's why I help with the 22 a day or
Mm-hmm.
22 a month to help prevent the 22 a day. But what are some of the services and how can we help these veterans that are suffering from this and are going through like anger issues and just hurt and just all this different, you know, what can we do to help them here?
Yeah. No, that's a really good question, and thank you for supporting through the 22 to End 22 program. We really appreciate that. The the subject of PTSD is a really complicated one, and what we do here is practice what we call veteranology. We treat veterans like a science.
Okay.
And we do that because we see a lot of treatment and therapies within the veteran community that don't treat veterans like a science. They treat veterans like a black box. That's kind of a single thing. And they don't want to look into the box because
Okay.
they're kind of afraid of what
Afraid
might be
to
in
peek
there.
inside,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But
Well, I was a little afraid to ask the question, but
I noticed that, yeah. But I served 25 years. I suffer from PTSD from my 3 years in Afghanistan and other places. So I'm not afraid to look inside the box. In fact, I barely know what the outside of the box looks like.
Uh-huh.
I live inside the box. And So I want to understand the box the way a fireman understands fire, the way that a police officer understands crime. I want to understand the inside of the box with great fidelity. And we as a team here maintain that attitude. And one of the key things to understand about PTSD is that it is a broad paintbrush, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things get painted with the PTSD label. But not everything that gets called PTSD is necessarily PTSD.
Right.
There's probably 100 different disorders or phenomena that are being labeled PTSD that are all different. They have different sources, different origins, different symptoms, and different therapies that will
Right.
cause their healing. And rather than just bin them all under PTSD, as so many people do, we try to differentiate between what we're seeing and what the veteran is suffering from.
So you ask the hard questions.
Yeah, get to know the individual and understand what it is that they need, what it is they want, and what it is that will lead to healing. Because many approaches, and yes, VA, I'm looking at you, many approaches use the strategy of developing coping mechanisms that,
Or medications.
yeah, or medications, coping medications that simply help the veteran become functional once again, and they
Right.
can return to life and function. But that's not the same as living.
Quality of life.
Right.
Yeah.
Living is not the same as functioning. You know, zombies at some level function, right? They walk, they stumble around, they growl, they eat, but that's not living.
Nope.
The difference between living and functioning is an important distinction. In order to live, veterans must heal. And there's a big difference between healing and coping
Right.
or working around the injury. So we seek to get to the heart of the matter. Whatever the initial trauma is, whatever the critical matter is, whether it started in the military or before the military, or whether there's military sexual trauma, whatever it is, we really have to get to the bottom of it and then develop a strategy for healing and not coping. And that takes time. That cannot be achieved in a 59-minute appointment session. That cannot be achieved in a once a week sit down and take a few notes.
Well, keep in mind, because you mentioned the VA, I have had a person that I vaguely knew, but that had got back to me that he had gone to the VA to get treatment,
Mm-hmm.
and they looked at him, said there was nothing wrong with him, and he got really pissed off with them, said F you, and never went back to them. And in his case, now again, I don't know the whole story. That's just what all happened there. I don't know, but the fact that our veterans are saying, "Hey, this is my problem," and then going in and wanting to get help, and then not getting that help addressed, uh, it's sad, and to know that there are other veterans out there right now that are still living like that, that need that help.
Yeah, we see that a lot, unfortunately. And the the challenge is the VA, and I love the VA, don't get me
Oh, I
wrong,
do too.
but they are a bureaucracy. And as such, they're going to use bureaucratic methods to catch as many people as they can within their reach. And the gentleman you're describing and others are not going to get what they need in that bureaucratic net that they're casting. Because a bureaucratic approach is going to be imperfect at best in addressing people's needs. And
Right.
They're all going to be based upon those 59-minute sessions, or in some cases 15-minute sessions. Their appointments are going to be very limited, and you're not going to see the same doctor, the same every time you go in. You're not going to see the same doctor over the course of years. And that's by necessity. It's not something that they can necessarily do anything about because of the nature of the organization. But these are the things that we approach differently here because we're free to. We don't have to be a bureaucracy. We can address those things differently here. And that's what we believe in, is paying attention to those who need it. If we have to go 3-4 hours of conversation in order to get to the issue, then that's what we'll do. If we have to go multiple days, that's what we'll do. Whatever it takes to really get what's needed in order to get a veteran towards healing, we can do that. And so we'll oftentimes use the VA as a resource for mental health, but at the same time, it is oftentimes not the best answer because there are deeper issues at play that need to be dealt with first.
Does Eric, that comes down here on Fridays, does he work with the VA?
Yeah, he is VA.
He does.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but because I do notice that we have veterans, and I'm not mentioning names, but we do have veterans that come in, and it seems like they really like him and like the service that he provides. So, I mean, there is, like what you're saying, there is some good within the VA. And Eric is one of those guys where he impresses me, and I think he listens.
Absolutely. That's why I say I in no way want these comments taken to be anti-VA at all. It's just there are limits to what they can do, and those limits oftentimes, tragically, miss people who need help the most. And that's who we're interested in catching. When there are people who are a perfect fit for VA, we send them to the VA. I mean, we're not trying to be the VA, and we're not trying to out-VA the VA. They are a vital resource. But as you pointed out, so often there are people who have had bad experience at VA and will never go back, or they come in and they're like, the resource at the VA does not understand. They think I'm saying one thing when I'm saying a completely different thing, and I'm not getting the help that I need.
And then sometimes at the DAV, I get people that come in that have put off filing a claim for years and years, not because they're afraid of the VA, but because they're afraid of the government, like bureaucracy and how long it takes and all.
Yeah, they've heard horror stories.
They don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, we see that too. People that are just dismayed by stories they've heard, or they don't want to open themselves up to government scrutiny for whatever reason.
That's why I'm glad that you guys offer that VetLinks program with Dan Shaw, because then if they don't get the help that they need through the DAV or the VA or whoever that they're dealing with, then they have more choices, more avenues. So that's another thing I like about the Warrior Healing Centers. You guys offer choices. You don't say, okay, this is it, and that's what you've got to do. I mean, you actually get choices.
That's really the critical piece, is giving veterans the options that are best for them. Because really having options is empowering, right?
Yes.
And you feel empowered when you have choices available to you. When someone says there's one way to go and that's it, then you feel trapped. And we don't like when veterans feel trapped, because this addresses kind of the second part of your question about veteran suicide. Veteran suicide is not a monolithic event in terms of there's not one thing that leads to suicide. There are multiple avenues of crisis that ultimately lead to suicide. Sometimes it's mental health. Sometimes it's joblessness. Sometimes it's great personal loss, losing a loved
Yeah.
one.
Homelessness.
There's homelessness. There's just inability to provide for family, right? So that could be food insecurity. It could be financial. There's all sorts of crises or a combination of crises that lead someone to the point where they have a meltdown. And that meltdown results in suicide. So when you're talking about how do we prevent suicide, the key is, we believe, to detect these multivariate crises as they're happening or before they happen,
Right.
and intervene before those things happen or before they reach the level of crisis that results in the veteran melting down. What does that mean? That means if a veteran is about to be evicted from their home or from their apartment, the time to act is before the eviction in order to save them from that, if at all possible. If they have already been evicted, it's to get them into a process to get housing as soon as possible.
Right.
If they have been notified that they're losing a job, then get them into job placement assistance as soon as possible to prevent them from being jobless. Or if they're already jobless, get them in to job placement as even faster,
Right.
so we can get them lined up with a job. Same thing with food assistance, financial assistance, etc. But that's how our processes are built here, so that we are able to sense and detect these crises as early as possible. And then we have the processes built so that once they're detected, we're able to plug them in, the veteran in crisis or the veteran family, and get them the resources that they need so that they feel like there's a team behind them, they're not alone, that they have a support structure that understands the problem and understands what they need, and then there's a solution on the horizon. Because suicide happens when you can't see any solutions on the horizon, you don't believe in a future, and so giving them something to believe in on the horizon is critical to preventing suicide.
Well, there are a couple of different places that I've called recently. The Tucson VA is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what the other place was, and it says that if you're contemplating suicide, call this number, and then they give you like a 7-digit number. Well, if you're in crisis, who's going to take the time to sit down and write down yet another phone number, dial yet another call? And one of the at the DAV when I was talking, and Phyllis had a great suggestion. She said, if they could just press a button like 9 or 8 or whatever, and then just be directed automatically, to save all that time and to save the veteran the stress of having to try and get a hold of someone. So that leads to what I'm going to ask you now.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody comes to the Warrior Healing Center, and this is where they want to reach out for help. Do they just walk in the front door? Do they make a phone call? Do they email, website, all of the above? How does that work?
Yeah, all the above, but we encourage folks to come in and see us, because when you call or use electronic forms of communication, we may be in the middle of another veteran crisis, and it may take us some time for that to reach our awareness. We don't sit around necessarily waiting for the phone call, because we're almost always we're managing over 1,200 veteran cases in our community. So it's not like we're ever taking a break. But if you walk in and say, I'm in trouble, I feel suicidal, or I need to see someone right away, that gets our attention. Mm-hmm. So if we're working on something that's not critical, then we drop everything and respond to the person that's feeling suicidal or feels like hurting themselves or someone else. And that gets immediate attention. But back to your point about calling a phone number, whether it's one number or 7 or 10, I think calling a hotline when you're suicidal is still, it's a category mistake. It's a mismatch.
Uh-huh.
It's like saying, what does the color blue taste like? People who are in that suicidal place don't need to talk to someone on the phone,
Okay.
right?
They want that in person?
Yeah, they need a personal attachment. They need a personal touch.
Oh, okay.
And so talking to someone on the phone, just the whole premise is, to me, I mean, I understand that's the best thing that they can do, and
Right.
someone says do something, and so they put together this phone line. But to me, that is so impersonal, and it's a fail.
I would love for our community to have a workshop where they could have a person come down, because I would go in a heartbeat. I think I told Kathy this, but I would love it if we had a thing where they could come down and teach us what to look for in people that might be contemplating that, and maybe how to assist them, or where they could go for assistance or something like that. I would love something like that in our community.
Yeah. Well, that's something that we do here on the veteran side,
Okay.
because we want members of our community to understand how to notice that in veterans. A lot of times, though, it's hard to recognize the veteran status because, it's not something that you can necessarily pinpoint right away. Some veterans, just like you and me, with camo and
Right.
all that stuff on them, but a lot don't, and so it's sometimes very difficult to ascertain. But it's something that the police in our community do, and they call us whenever they encounter someone in distress who identifies as a veteran, and we respond to that.
Okay.
We'll respond on site whenever the police encounter that, or they can bring them here if they're not crisis but they need support. But yeah, we really want to be our community's 911 for veteran crisis, non-criminal,
Right.
where laws aren't being broken, because that's a law enforcement issue. But when it's simply veteran crisis, we want to be the place where any member of the community can bring veterans in crisis.
Walk them right through the front door.
Yeah, and be a safe place.
1831 Paseo San Luis.
1838.
Or 1838. Why do I keep saying 1831? I always do that.
1831, I think, is like the security.
I don't want them walking in there. 1838 Paseo San Luis.
Sorry, security guys. You can bring them here too.
Yeah.
If Mike
Just
walks
walk
in,
them over here.
some veterans in crisis, just bring them down here. It's Mike.
1838. Got it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what we're trying to be. And of course, we've got our phone numbers on the door. So if there's nobody here, then you can call our phone numbers and we'll respond and be right here. So we live close by.
And also, we like to have veterans that come in for the first time that aren't in crisis.
Yeah.
Fill out an intake form on the website. You can also do that from home if you want. And I believe the website, I should have written it down here, but I think it's www.warriorhealingcenter.org?
.com.
And then / and then I think it's intake, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it?
No, it's
it isn't. Now I got to look it up.
warriorhealing.vet/intake.
Okay. What I'll do is I'll put it down in the comment section. I'll type it up and put it down in the comment section, so that way people can, hopefully, if they're on Facebook, they can just click on it. So
we have some comments here.
Oh, we do have some comments. Kathy.
So Kathy says,
that's interesting. Vets at warriorhealingcenter.org. See, that's where I got the .org at.
Yep. The email is .org.
Yeah.
Good job, Kathy. And then she says,
VA is confusing. A lot of veterans do not understand the basic VA structure for different services they provide.
Very good point. And I think what she's talking about there is they don't understand that the VA is divided up into different sections, and those sections don't necessarily talk to each other. So you've got like the housing guys that do VA loans, and then you have the cemetery guys that do burials, and then you have the VHA, the healthcare guys,
Right.
and then you have the comp and pen guys that do disability, and they don't talk. They're not connected. So we see a lot of veterans who say, well, I was talking to my doc and wanted him to do stuff for my disability, and he didn't seem to know what I was talking about. And it's like, yeah, because number one, that doctor is a contractor in the VHA, and he's never been briefed on disability issues. It's not his job. He doesn't know anything about it. And they're like, what do you mean a VA doc doesn't know anything? And it's like, well, because that's not their job. The disability guys work out of Salt Lake City or something like that. So it's very, very, very complicated and hard for a lot of folks to understand.
And then we had another comment from a grateful veteran. Excellent points being made here. Good job, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We always like the feedback.
Yeah, I
especially
appreciate
when
that.
it's good.
Yep.
I think that's Eddie. Eddie, I owe you $20. Thanks, man.
Even if it's bad, because I'm the type of person where if I do something, I want to learn from it.
Yeah.
And I can't learn from it if somebody doesn't bring it to my attention.
Not me. My ego is very fragile, and I cannot handle negative feedback. So thank you, Eddie. I owe you $20.
Or just buy him lunch someday.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd like that.
I'm not sure $20 can buy lunch anymore.
No? Probably not. You can't even get a menu at a meal for McDonald's because with and again, I don't want to go up, but real quick, the raising the minimum wage, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have to pay for that somehow. How do they pay for that? Jacking the prices up on the menus.
That's right.
So yeah, you're getting that $20 an hour, but you're also paying.
Almost as if we need a science that could explain the relationship between wages and prices. If only.
Yeah, if only. Well, Tim, thank you so much for sitting down with me this morning, and got to cover a lot of topics here. I have a few events that I want to go over real quickly, as I always do. So beginning June, well, let me start over. Okay, I have a few events that I would like to go over. June is National PTSD Awareness Month, so please keep that in mind for the month of June. Do they have like any kind of a color or ribbon or anything like they do for all these other awareness days, or no? Do you know?
I don't know. I'll look
Kathy,
that up.
you're gonna have to, you have to let us know on that one. Today, well, that's already been over with. That's why all that stuff is out there. Okay, so yeah, here today, starting at 1100 hours and going to 1400 hours, we have the Warrior Healing Center beans, beans, and beans. Dude, seriously, I got to work the front desk and you guys are serving beans today? Holy mackerel. Anyhow.
Is that a problem?
It could be. It could be a flatulent problem for people, I think.
Oh, dear.
So that, again, that starts at 11 o'clock and goes until 1400 hours, beans, beans, and beans. There's also the DAV, chicken fried steak dinner tonight at the VFW, post 9972, and that starts at 1730. We also have the weekly PMCS that meets here on Saturday mornings. They start at 0930 every Saturday morning. And I know a couple guys in that group that are really good, and it's a good group. I think that if you're interested, come in and check it out. That's Saturday mornings at 9:30. We have this Sunday, starting at...
It's kind of turquoise.
PTSD Awareness Month. Yeah. Is there any way we could pop that on the things for this month, or?
Nope.
No, can't do it.
Nope.
But that's pretty cool. I don't know. Can they see? Can our audience see it?
I don't know.
You know.
Maybe.
Anyhow, it's if you don't know, yeah, it's turquoise. Very cool.
Yeah, it's on the screen.
Okay. So we have Flutes for Vets online. So I didn't know they did this online, so that's why I highlighted it. It starts Sunday at 13:30, goes to 1,500 hours, and they use Zoom. So for more information on that, who would they contact? The Warrior Healing Center or?
Yeah.
Okay. So contact us if you're interested in getting the information to do the Flutes online for Zoom. On Monday, June 6th, starting at 18:30 and going until 2,000 hours, we have the Scottish American Military Society, their monthly meeting that takes place here at the Warrior Healing Center, and it's in the main conference room here. We have on Tuesday, June 7th, geez Louise, come on. Tuesday, June 7th, starting at 1,000 hours, going to 1,400 hours, is the Sierra Vista Community Connect. That's over at the Ethel Berger Center. I was at the one last month with Kathy, and man, was there a lot of people there offering services for the homeless, and it's a great function. So if you get a chance, go down there and check that out next Tuesday at the Ethel Berger Center, starting at 1,000 hours. On Wednesday, starting at 10:30, going to 11:30, Finding the Way Warrior Healing Bible Study. If you want to get into a Bible study, I know a couple of the guys that are into it. I talked to them last week, and a couple of really good veterans that are in that group and run it. So if you want to get into that group, come on down here Wednesday, and it starts at 10:30. Also, on June 16th, the DAV is having their monthly membership meeting. That'll be on a Thursday, and that starts at 1,600 hours, if I'm not mistaken. It's written down here as 1730, but I think it's 1,600 hours. What they're doing also is, wait a minute, Disabled American Veterans Month. Yeah, so it is. We moved it to June 16th. I had to look at that for a second. Also, they're having the DAB convention. That will be in Tucson. And let's see, June 8th through the 11th. Lost train. Man, I'm just blowing it this morning. What's up with me?
That's okay. It's kind of rowdy.
I accidentally bumped my phone and it called my dad, and I didn't mean to. I'm doing one of those days today. But it's also been a good day, too. Started out as a good day, too. So
good.
That's all right. The last one I wanted to share with everybody here is there is on Saturday, June 11th, starting at 0800, going to 10,000, is the Sons of American Legion breakfast down at the American Legion Post 52. And let's not forget our fellow vets. I always like to get Stu's group out there a shout out. Hopefully I hadn't done that yet. The Velo Vet group rides at PDS Country Club parking lot, and their group ride starts at, I believe it's 0800. Let's see if I can find it on here again. One of those days, Michael. Oh, here it is. Yep, 0800. Wednesday at 0800. Actually, they start tomorrow, too. They ride tomorrow, don't they?
Yep.
Isn't that on here? Yeah, it is. So they have it on here tomorrow, starting at 0800 at the Pueblo del Sol Country Club, and then also on Wednesday, because they ride every Wednesday and Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
But they changed their time from 10 to 9, and now it's moved to 8. So
summertime.
Yep. Don't want to get too hot. All right, that's everything that I have. Tim, do you have any last parting words of wisdom that you want to share with us?
Yes. Lift with the legs, not with the back.
All right. Well, that's it for today. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And next Friday, there won't be a show because I'll be at the DAV convention. So I will see you in 2 weeks. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.